Tuesday, October 11th, 1966. Discourse on the Bhagavad Gita.
Gita contains the teachings which Krishna gave to Arjuna. These teachings are highly uplifting, extremely helpful. For a long time, this has supplied the spiritual sustenance of large number of the members of human race. These answers were uplifting, but the questions which evoked those answers are also extremely important. We are grateful to Arjuna for something like 10 or 12 questions he asked in the Gita. Each question is extremely important, pertinent to human problems. Last two days we are discussing the important question which he asked. The question which is common to all spiritual aspirants. Why the mind becomes so restless? Why the mind is so difficult to control? It is much more difficult to control than control the blowing wind. The next question, the last question of this chapter, is no less important. The question is, he asks, suppose there is a person who with great interest and earnestness has begun spiritual practice, but afterwards his interest slackens. Anyhow, he does not find any more great interest, and he gives up spiritual practice. What will happen to him? Will his life be a failure here and also hereafter? Will he be like a patch of cloud which has been scattered? Will he be a loser in this life and in the life to come? This is a question which is troubling me greatly. Kindly answer this question clearly. And there is no other person who can give the answer to this question really. You are the person who can answer this question clearly. So kindly remove this great doubt in my mind. This very important question. This is also a common question. Some persons begin with great enthusiasm. Anyhow, they cannot continue that enthusiasm. Some give up altogether. Whether these efforts will be lost, whether they will be stranded in spiritual life. Sri Krishna answers, well, in this life and even in the life to come, he will not be a loser. He will not suffer spiritual shipwreck. For a doer of good never comes to grief, or a doer of good can never have any sad end. A person who has made an attempt, a person who has shown some spiritual interest, he will not be a loser. Nothing will be lost. In the Gita, in some previous chapter, in the second chapter, similar thing is told. When one begins one's spiritual practice with real sincerity and earnestness, and if it cannot go to the completion, nothing will be lost. It will not be like a case of disease. A doctor was treating a case, but the patient just left the doctor. Then no result will come. An edifice is being built. Unless it has been completed, it is not fit for living there. Whole thing is lost if it is not completed. But not in spiritual life. For in spiritual life, even a little thing done with sincerity gives immunity against great fear. If one has thought of the Lord with great sincerity, even for a moment, it is not lost. This answer is not simply sentimentalism. You see, when one has done with sincerity, he has got a glimpse of higher life. It cannot be lost. It is there. He has got some glimpse of a higher life. Otherwise, he would not have begun in earnestness. With earnestness, if he has proceeded a little, he has got greater glimpse. When he began, he had high hopes, but he had a clear idea what the goal is. Otherwise, he would not have begun. Otherwise, he would not have performed spiritual practice. So, it is not lost. And a doer of good will never have a sad end. This is the answer. It is invariably given by a powerful teacher to a sincere student. Sister Nivedita once asked Swami Vivekananda this question, exactly this question. Suppose we fail. There is nothing as failure in spiritual life. Swami Vivekananda quoted this verse. Sister Nivedita gives the translation. Simply said, Swami Vivekananda said the second part. A doer of good, a person of high aspirations will never have a sad end. Swami Vivekananda himself would speak about his disciples in that way. You know, he had his own way of saying, but his own way of saying, but he meant these things literally. He spoke to one of his disciples. That disciple spoke to his disciples, quoting Swami Vivekananda, simply saying what Swami Vivekananda would be saying. Because if my disciples go to hell, I shall rescue them right from the hell. He meant it, and he knew he could do that. As with him, talking about God, it was simply like talking to an earthly father or earthly friend on whom he could count, surely he could count. So he meant that literally, that one was taken shelter in him. Once he showed allegiance to him. That allegiance cannot be broken. He will not forget. One of his American disciples afterwards became different. And Swami Vivekananda in one of his letters wrote, he has gone crazy, but I shall never leave him. He spoke some kind words about him. I shall never leave him. Once he had the sincere resolution. Clouds came, and his vision is covered. That does not mean what he did would be lost. The Gita gives the answer why it would not be lost. Such a person, he'll be born again. He'll be born in a more suitable atmosphere. Or else he'll be born in a family where the people are righteous and are prosperous. They have not to fight with all their energies against poverty. They are prosperous. They will not have to work hard for daily living with no energy left for higher pursuits. Everything will be propitious, helpful to them. Or it might be they be born in a family where the people are highly spiritually minded and they are poor. Why poor? And he said, the Gita says that is more suitable, more fortunate will be those persons who are born in such a family, because they are born in poverty, they will be striving. Those who are born in well-to-do families, those who are born in wealth, the difficulty that their mind do not go normally towards higher things. They're caught up in the comforts and luxuries of life. But those who have some pinch of poverty, those who have to struggle against difficulties, so they are fortunate if their mind is spiritually attuned. There's a prayer by the mother of Arjuna. That prayer says, that keep me in difficulties, O Lord, always. Because when we are in difficulties, we think of the Lord, provided you are spiritually attuned. It is said even good persons have to suffer. What is the reason? Usually one blames God, one curses God as it were, one defies God, one rebels against God. But what do we know? What is in the mind of God? Sometimes through our difficulties, through our so-called miseries, we think more deeply of spiritual things and we become spiritually stronger. The tree becomes strong, wrestling with winds. In the same way, we become spiritually stronger by fighting with the difficulties. If everything is a smooth sailing, we feel complacent. If there is trouble, provided to start with we have spiritual inclination. So here it is said, born in a family where there are spiritually minded persons and they have to struggle with poverty. Wealth and high spirituality do not go together. When there is luxury and comfort, we do not think of the higher problems of life. Life goes on smoothly. We forget God. All of a sudden there comes a huge shock, a shock treatment in spiritual life as it is. We become conscious. What's the matter? Usually we think this is our right. At least it is our privilege. We shall be going that way. We feel proud. And these difficulties are angels unawares. Even those persons who have not to struggle with spiritual problems, they hate others, they feel proud, they have no sympathy for those persons who are struggling. They do not know what it is to struggle for spiritual ends even. They feel proud, they think they are worse. They develop superiority complex, though there is no such word in the dictionary. They defy that higher than thou attitude, and all of a sudden there comes a fall, a crash. Then they are conscious what it is. Then they realize, what is it? What does it mean to struggle with one's rebellious mind? Some persons are born with favorable minds, but not all. So some of those persons have these advantages. Look down upon others, higher than thou attitude, as they say. Pride goeth before destruction. So when they fall, so don't say that these people who are so religious minded, why? They fell from the path. There is meaning for it, which you do not understand. It is a case of angel unaware. Just so that by fall they will rise again, much higher. some lesson had to be learned. What is meant by spiritual struggle? This lesson was needed for them, so they failed. So such persons who have not succeeded completely in this life, they will be born in one such family, either of the two types. And when they are born in more favorable situations, they will get the connection of that spiritual outlook in their previous lives. The memory will come back, rather than subtle memory, what is called impressions. The past impressions of their life will come out. They come out in every case. But those whose impressions were good in past lives, when they come out, they become helpful. They give them greater help. What is genius? If man being potentially the same, what is meant by genius, even in secular things? They did something in their past lives, so they are in their early days. They showed great accomplishment, even in their early age. If it been with reference to secular things, we say he's a genius, great musician, great scholar, great scientist, and so on. This same thing happened in spiritual life. Some persons get realization quickly, without much effort. What is the reason? They did something in the past life. Ramakrishna spoke of a parable. A person was doing spiritual practice in midnight, in the dark midnight, on the cremation ground. Some spiritual aspirants, worshipper of the Mother Kali, they do that way. They will be doing the spiritual practice under most difficult circumstances. On the dark fortnight, on the darkest night, they will go in a cremation ground, and there they will be meditating. One person was doing that way. All of a sudden, he got frightened. He left his seat. A passerby was going. He sat on the seat, and he got the realization. How? Why did that happen? Was God partial? Ramakrishna said, no. The person who got all of a sudden, as it were, had done all these things before. So his case was ripe for complete realization. He came and got it. This is true in all cases. Simply we do not know the background. So that the Gita says, we'll have the connection. Connection we do not see, because our mind is clouded. Our view is narrow, but there is the connection. This connection comes in the form of impressions, which you carry from our past lives. And when they have the impressions come out, impressions of the spiritual practices unfold themselves in spiritual yearning in this life, they do harder spiritual practice and they succeed. So much so, sometimes they're carried a lot in the path of spiritual progress, in spite of themselves, as it were. Without any effort they go. It becomes very easy. They do not feel the strain of doing spiritual practice. They go so smoothly, carried by the breeze and helped by the current of the river. They were carried away, as it were, carried along the path of spiritual progress, as it were. So, a person who is genuinely interested in spiritual things, a person who has genuine interest about spiritual matters, a person will not be lost. His future is not dark. A person who has genuine interest, even if gives it up, is much better than those persons who do Vedic rites for worldly benefits. In Vedic rites, many persons would be doing these things for worldly ends, if not of this world, with an eye, with a view that they will get happiness in the afterlife. They want to bribe God that way. But those persons who have genuine spiritual interest, they do not want any earthly advantage in respect of their spiritual practice. Those who have genuine spiritual interest, they love God for love's sake, for no other reason. That is genuine spiritual interest. They want to have the vision of God. That is the indication that one genuinely loves God. If one loves God, one cannot stand the idea that God would play hide and seek with them. If thou belong to us, why should you play hide and seek with us? It might be, they will say, we have not the genuine interest. It might be our devotion is very small, but will it not be so calm? Devotion within us will increase. If the grace comes, will it not be that a tree will at once blossom forth into flowers, and the flowers will become fruits? Thou hast infinite power. All these things are possible. Why should thou play hide and seek that way? That is genuine spiritual interest. Such a person, if they do not succeed completely in this life, what is between one life and another life? It is made a curtain which can be removed very easily. For us, it is a big curtain, but those who know this side and that side of the curtain, who makes that curtain, for him it is easy. It is as easy to make as easy to take it off. So, a person is not loser if he has genuine interest. In this way, those persons who do not succeed completely carry the credit of their spiritual practices in this life to the other world, to the other life. If they do not succeed even in the next life, it will be continued. But in each life, they will make some progress. Their hearts will be purified. In this way, it may be many lives they will have to live. What are many lives in comparison with the eternity? Somehow, sometime there will come an end. They will become completely purified. Their heart will be completely pure, and they will realize God. In each life, they will progress. So nothing has been lost with our efforts, even if we give it up. From the human standpoint, from the standpoint of this limited existence which you call life, it seems it is failure. It is never failure. Everything is to your credit, and the mathematics is very correct. What you have done, it is to your credit. It will remain to all eternity. So, those persons who meditate with genuine spiritual interest are fortunate. Therefore, this genuine spiritual interest and its accompaniment, meditation and prayer, better than those persons who do spiritual practice in the form of mere physical austerities to gain some psychic powers. During that time, as it also in the time of Buddha, there are many persons, they would be called ascetics, they would perform severe physical austerities in order to get some powers, if not psychic powers, get credit from people, to get praise from people. They're great yogi. They can stand on their, they remain standing throughout their life, 12 years, 24 years, or throughout their life, and people will be looking with wonder at them. They can do that. What does it matter if we can be standing throughout life? The trees are standing always. What difference does it make? Some persons will be cross-legged for many, many years. Some persons will be sitting outside. and braving the wind, braving the heat and cold. These things bring glory to them from vulgar people who have no better ideas of spiritual life. But a particular genuine spiritual interest is much better than all the troubles these people undergo. So a person with genuine spiritual interest is much better than those persons who do fabulous austerities. They are also better than those persons who are scholarly, versed in scriptures, but they do not put their knowledge into practice. They are also much better than those persons who do works, but without the right spiritual outlook. Say, therefore, a particular genuine spiritual interest is better than all other persons. And to conclude, it is strange, the Gita says, by saying all these things, qualification about meditation and what is form of meditation and so on, all of a sudden in the last verse it is said, but of all those persons who do spiritual practice, those persons who love God is the best of spiritual aspirants. And it comes to these things. But there is reason for that. One does spiritual practice in order to develop love for God. But if a person has genuine love for God, he is fortunate. He has not to do so hard spiritual practice. He has not to go through so much hardships if one can develop love for God. In some of the verses in the Gita, this is very much emphasized. It is surprising that Shankaracharya sometimes pick up that verse and write wonderful commentaries. Though Shankaracharya talks of knowledge, self-knowledge. So this chapter in the Gita on meditation, it is ended with the verse that all these things are good, but better than all those persons who meditate and so on is the person who has genuine love for God. He is the best of all spiritual aspirants. Let us start. Anybody is welcome to ask any question. Yeah.
You mentioned that it isn't necessary to do austerities to get this, but why do some holy men do them then?
Some discipline is necessary. Discipline is not performing physical austerities. Some persons do spiritual austerities just to show, or some other baser motives, just to develop some certain psychic power. Some powers you reading the thoughts of other persons, influencing other persons. So they perform austerities for those things. And even those persons who do spiritual, physical austerities, senseless physical austerities. So they are fighting with physical things. They have not come to a point, to the understanding. The purpose of discipline, physical discipline, is to lead the mind towards God. They forget the main thing. They simply fight with physical things. So they do physical austerities, but their mind is not on God. There is, here when it says they're better than those persons who do physical austerities, fasting and so on. Many persons in India will take 3 times bathe 3 times a day, undergo fasting, say 10 days per month, and so on. On this day they will fast, on this day they will not eat this and that, all sorts of things. To a certain extent these are helpful, a kind of discipline. But when one's mind is on all these things, not on the main purpose, not to the end, but to all these things, they are caught in these things. So they do not progress. But those persons who do sensible physical discipline, in order to develop their mind. So the Gita said in this very chapter, the realization does not come to persons who do too much fasting, no realizations come to a person who eat too much. You should not eat too much, nor should you be doing too much fasting. If you do too much fasting, the body becomes weak. And unless the mind has outgrown the body consciousness, one cannot control the mind. It becomes much more difficult to control the mind. One develops morbidity. So one should keep normal health. Buddha emphasized these things very much. He says, be moderate in everything. Physical discipline is necessary to help the growth of mind. But you waste all your energies on physical discipline or showing of physical discipline in physical austerities. Then the main thing is lost sight of. So it emphasizes that. Yeah.
I was referring to a man who had realization. Sometimes they do these things.
Huh?
Some holy men do this even though they have realization.
They do these things even though they have realization. Is it you say? No, for them it is not austerities in that sense. Their mind is in such a condition they get some great joy. They do not feel its hardship with them. Their mind is not affected. Sometimes body is not affected. They do out of great joy. You see, they find great interest in that. It is no longer austerities. Mind transcends the limitation of the body. But for those persons for whom mind and body very much interlinked, they have to take care of the mind. They have to apply common sense. For others, they do not because their mind is in a better condition, not so much austerity. It is not austerity in that sense. Yes.
As you said earlier, though, suffering or poverty itself can do lots of good to lots of people. Wouldn't the logic, at least to many of the Christian saints, be that they should get more suffering? They should go looking for it.
They want suffering. They don't want God. But their sufferings do not take their mind towards God. You see, and I say, simply poverty is not a virtue. Yes, poverty, but spiritual mindedness. So when you have spiritual outlook, then suffering as a reaction, it brings out greater spiritual intensity. You see, I read in last Friday in a letter by Swami Pavitrananda to someone, to a great devotee said, but a person who has a devotion, genuine devotion, when physical, the earthly sufferings come as a reaction, the intensity of the spiritual yearning comes forth. Because they have nothing else to look forward. They look to God. So when there is greater suffering, they look to God more strongly. Ordinary persons will be looking this and that way. On 100 things want to depend. But everything fails because one thing you ignore. Yes.
Wouldn't the physical disciplines and the austerities be to some people the stepping stones to a higher level and a higher way of life?
It depends on how you do it. If you do it simply physical discipline for show, or for the satisfaction I'm doing so much, and fighting with God, God does not come to me. You see? So that is in what outlook you do it.